And a lot of the stuff that I teach comes from my favorite leadership author in the whole world, John C. Maxwell. We named our youngest son Maxwell after John Maxwell. And today I wanted to give an encouraging word from his book, Developing the Leader Within You. It's a book that my leader gave me when I was growing up in the business. The second book following this one is Developing the Leaders Around You. But in order to read that one, in order to develop leaders around you, you must first develop the leader within you. So I wanted to pour into you today and share with you the encouraging words of John Maxwell. In chapter 1 of Developing the Leader Within You, John Maxwell says the definition of leadership is influence. The definition of leadership is influence, meaning your leadership ability and people wanting to follow you depends on your level of influence. And today I'm going to teach you how to increase your level of influence. And you might be thinking, gosh, I'm not a leader because I don't have anybody following me, or I don't really have a team yet. I'm just getting started in business. I haven't built my agency yet. And I want to tell you, yes, you are. Yes, you are, because if leadership is influence, you have influence over people right now. You have influence over people that you don't even realize you have influence over. For example, your children, you are the #1 influencer in your children's lives. Your coworkers at your job or wherever you work, your coworkers, you have influence over, even that you don't even realize. You're either being a positive influence to someone or you're being a negative influence to someone by your actions, and what you're doing is influence. Social media, you don't think people are paying attention, but by what you post, the thoughts that you post, whether they're positive, whether they're negative, if they're encouraging, you've influenced someone because they're reading your stuff. And whether it hit them right and it motivated them, or it whatever, you're influencing people. And so today we're going to talk about increasing that influence. But a little funny saying by John Maxwell says, he who thinketh he leadeth and hath no one following him is only taking a walk. So how do we get people to follow you? There's something called the 5 levels of leadership, if you'll write this down. The 5 levels of leadership. And the first level of leadership is called position. Position means people follow you because they have to. You're their boss. You're the boss at their job. And so if they don't show up and they don't do what you tell them, they're fired. Now, positional leadership only lasts so long in a business like ours, where it's a volunteer army, where you're not their boss and people follow you because they want to, right? People don't have to listen to us in this business and in this industry because everyone's independent and you're developing other leaders. Positional leadership only lasts 4 to 8 hours in our industry. Positional leadership. So what's your position? You're their sponsor, right? You sponsor someone into the business. Your influence at positional only lasts 48 hours. Hey, let's have a game plan. Let me take you to the team website. Let me show you the scripts to getting started right. Here's the how to register for Fast Start training class. Come to the team Zoom that's going on. That only lasts 48 hours, which is why you do want to do that game plan right away as soon as they get started. Don't wait, because they'll listen to what you have to say, but only for 48 hours. So how do you extend it past that in this business? You want to get to leadership level number 2. So write this down. Again, we're in John Maxwell's Developing the Leader Within You. Leadership level number 2 is permission. On leadership level number 2, people follow you because of your relationship with them. So write that down. Leadership level number 2, permission. People follow you because of your relationship with them, because they want to. So for example, when it comes to doing business, how do you build a relationship with someone? Well, let me take a step back. It's way easier for me to say to someone that I have a relationship with, hey, come with me to this great movie. We're going to go out, we're going to go out to dinner. We're going to go to this movie. If I have a relationship with someone, they're like, oh, okay. If they're free and, if they like you, then they'll come. But if you don't have a relationship with someone, you're like, hey, come to the dinner, come to movies. They're like, I don't know if I want to hang out with you. I don't know if I have time for you. You get what I'm saying? And so here we are, we get into this business and we're like, show up at this call, come to this meeting, do this, send out these text messages. And we're telling them to do these things, but we don't have a relationship with someone. So if leadership is influence and to get someone to go along, how do we get someone how do we build that relationship? It's by being relational. Meaning, if you're going to send a text to someone, don't make it all about business. Start out by saying, hey, how are you doing, by the way? How's the family? Write down the names of their spouse. They may only mention the name of their spouse and their kids once to you or every once in a while, just in conversation, without introducing you to them. And write that down. I like to save in my contacts, their contact in my phone. When they're telling me, when I'm meeting them, I put their spouse's name in there. I put their kid's name in there. So when the next time they're like, hey, we had soccer practice with my son, I could say, hey, how was soccer for Johnny? And they'd be like, wow, she remembered my son's name. I don't even remember telling her my son's name. Be relational. How are you feeling? I know you weren't feeling so well. Is everything okay? Or even just, hey, I just wanted to just check base with you. How's your health? How's everything going? Right? Learn to ask questions, showing genuine interest in them, because people don't care what you have to say until they know that you actually care about them. So that is building relationships and building influence. Another great book I would recommend if you need to learn how to be more relational, because anyone can learn how to be more relational. Another great book is called Winning with People by John Maxwell. Winning with people is like today's how to win friends and influence people in today's words and language. Because I know How to Win Friends and Influence People is a great book, but it was written like 20, 30 years ago and somewhat feels like another language. So what I love is you can learn to be relational with people. Say hey, say hello. working from home, right? So you could learn to be relational with people by truly just building a relationship with that person. And the next time you invite them to come to a Zoom or to send out a text message or to go for a promotion or to want to talk to them about it, they'll actually want to take your call. They'll want to hear from you. So relationship, people only go along with those that they get along with. How can you expect someone to follow if you're not getting along? Because I know some leaders like to be confrontational, they like to be critical, they like to be combative or forceful or whatever, but that's not the age that we're living in today, right? We're in the people business. We're in the people business, so learn to be relational. Okay, leadership level number 3 is production. Production, people follow you because you get results. You get results. You know how to make exposures. You know how to get people to sign up, right? People follow you because you get results, production. And so that's when people start to have respect for you. Now, this is a skill that takes time to develop through time and activity. Through time and activity, you can learn how to be a producer. You can learn how to get results, right? And so that's leadership level number 3. And the higher you go up in leadership, the easier it becomes for you to influence people and a larger group of people as well. Leadership level number 4 is people development. At this level, people are now following you because of what you've done for them.
Then number 5.
And then number 5 is, what does that say?
No.
Personhood. People follow you because people follow you at that level because of who you are. I mean, your Mother Teresa, your Jeff Bell, your, Elon Musk, people are now following you because of who you are. So as you go higher in your levels of leadership, it's going to be easier, but guess what? It's going to take time. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to go through all sorts of crazy moments with all sorts of different personalities and different people that you're like, what in the world just happened? You're going to have to learn how to laugh at yourself. You're going to have to learn how to be forgiving of yourself.
Hey, Liz.
Yes.
Can you go over number 4 again,
Yes.
please?
Yes, we skipped through that one.
Thanks.
So people development, at this level, people are following you because of what you've done for them. You have developed them into a leader. Their life has improved because of the books that you've introduced them to, the positive motivation that they have learned. Their life has transformed. They become a different person because of your influence, because of the resources that you've introduced them to, because of the opportunities that you gave them, because of the person that you lifted them up to be. So people are now following you because, yeah, I'll follow that person anywhere because they've just done so much for me, right? That's people development. How can you do that? You can invest in people. When you listen to a positive audio and it moves your spirit, you can share it with the people that you care about. If you read a great book, maybe don't just buy it for you, buy a copy for somebody else too. If you've been invited to hear some information and you're allowed to invite somebody else to that, invite them to that too, right? So that's people development. And we're all working on these levels at the same time. But here's a rule that was very important that John Maxwell talks about. He said, your leadership level is only as high as your lowest level with that person. Your leadership level is only as high as the lowest level that you're at with that person. So for example, I might be Elon Musk, where everyone knows who I am and they just want to follow me but I'm only going to follow him. His leadership level with me, if he doesn't have a relationship with me, is a leadership level number 1 position until you have a relationship with that person, right? Or here's another example. You could be a great producer. You could be performance qualified. You could recruit lots of people, but they're not going to follow you. But your leadership level with that person, if you don't have a relationship with that person on level 2, your leadership with that person is level 1, positional, where they don't want to have to follow you because you're not their boss. So work on, if there's any level to really work on, it's to learn to be a better relational person, because anything else eventually you're going to grow into the other things by default. But you can influence someone by having a relationship with them. Al.
Hi. I hear you, and this is great, but I want to get your thoughts on, and I guess I've been guilty of doing this for a number of years, is riding you and David's coattail as far as the people in my organization, whether I sponsored personally or was blessed to have them placed, riding your coattail as far as your leadership and the things that you have accomplished, thinking that your relationship with Legal Shield and you being the example. But I hear what you're saying as far as I still have to grow my relationship, but in the meantime, I've always used your example of leadership. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that's the beauty of this business. See, in traditional business, you're kind of stuck helping your team support your team until you grow up the levels of leadership. But in this business, you can have your support team help grow the people in your organization while you're growing at the same time. right? So you don't have to be the lid for your people, especially if you have people that are at a higher leadership level than you when you first get started. Don't be threatened by them. When I first got started, I was 24 years old. I was stuck at leadership level number 1, probably for my first 100 recruits, because I was young, I was selfish, I was not interested in being relational. I was like, just didn't understand. I was not compassionate to things that would happen in people's life. I didn't understand because I hadn't had life happen to me yet. But the one thing I did have going for me was because of this business, I was able to point towards my leadership and introduce them to my leadership so they can help them grow while I was becoming and developing. So that's really great, Al. That's really great. All right. Anyone else want to make a comment or